Have you got that? Brilliant. Hello everyone and welcome to Social Club down south this week, which is great for me. It's good to be here. It's great for Michael from the Carefree Chelsea podcast. Great for Chris, who gets to travel down here. Flav, slightly less so because, well, you're at White Hart Lane.
I'm always happy to be at work though, James.
That is true.
Yeah.
And you're in peak physical conditions for this week's Social Club.
I feel suitably. I feel the correct way for what happened yesterday. So it's fine. Spurs obviously had an amazing day. Saying farewell to White Hart Lane.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about Spurs in one of the other videos. We're going to kick off with the big event of the whole weekend, which was Chelsea winning the league. But why did they win the Premier League this season? We're going to dive into it now. I think the perfect man to start with is yourself. What of all the crucial moments of the whole season? What was the biggest one for you?
I mean, people talk about the changing to the back three after the Arsenal demolition of Arsenal gave us. I was at the Liverpool-Chelsea game where Chelsea were totally dominated. And then Conte brought on Fabregas, I think, in the 82nd minute. Didn't make a change. The first half, Liverpool could have been 5-0 up first half. And we were like, okay, you need to change it at half time. Because we still weren't sure about the manager, right? And didn't change it to about the 80th minute. Went away thinking, it's got to change it a lot earlier. And then went to Arsenal. Arsenal destroyed us, and absolutely destroyed us. And I was thinking, okay, really am not sure about this manager now. Then he changes it to a back three. And I think our first game was Hull, away to Hull, and we beat them. And then we didn't concede a goal for about 6 games. You know, 9 hours of football. That is incredible. That's an incredible change around. But I was just saying that I think the pivotal moment for me was when I was at the game when we beat Tottenham 2-1 at home. And Tottenham were all over us the first half, like they were in the season before, and we turned it around and we won 2-1. That was a big moment for me, and then we went on that 13 games winning run from that moment on. So for me, that was a huge turnaround. One for going from the back three, and two winning that game against Tottenham. There was only 3 games we didn't score, and that's key as well. You know,
I think it was a good point. I'd forgotten about this, but there was this initial feeling with Conte that he doesn't make changes. He's playing the same team. He'll make one change and it's the exact same time.
No, I think he used every single substitution from that moment on. 3 subs every game, I think he made, you know.
And that big, obviously, that has got to be the biggest thing. And it's been a kind of it's been a cultural, tactical change throughout the Premier League, that playing 3 at the back. And he did it first, and he did it brilliantly, and it worked so well for the whole team, but no one more than David Luiz. It's been unbelievable for him, hasn't he, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. You know, when Chelsea signed Luiz, I think everyone was poking fun at it, weren't they? To be honest, you know, signing him back, spending big money on him. And then the question marks, is he a Conte-style player? You know, you'd obviously seen the type of defenders that he'd had over in Italy and stuff, and you're thinking David Luiz doesn't really fit into that. And he comes in, and he dominates, and he's been sensational. He's been a big part of what's made them so good this season. Now, Liverpool played Chelsea in a pre-season friendly over in America, and it was a sort of precursor to things to come because they were so difficult to break down. Now, they weren't playing the 3 at the back, but we struggled massively. So from that moment, I was thinking to myself, these are going to be good again this season. And when they changed it to 3 at the back, it was brilliant because everyone plays one striker. You know, and 3 at the back's made, I think, to counteract that 4-2-3-1 that's become so popular, or the 4-3-3, whatever variation it is, that 3 at the back counteracts that. And I think next season we'll see a lot more of 2 strikers up top against 3 at the back, because I think that's the way that you can sort of pull that defence apart. And, you know, it's up to Chelsea to evolve. And I don't think they'll need revolution, but I think they'll need to tweak that tactically a little bit. Yeah. It's obviously very difficult to defend the Premier League title.
I think it feels like that more than any other season this year, how those tactical changes, that ability to move from a back 3 to a back 4, it's so crucial now. I feel like that's the step forward that's come from having these new managers at the top of their game coming into the Premier League. And you've seen the setting with Spurs. What do you think has been the main difference between Spurs and Chelsea, and how they've been able to not get over the line, but like walk past the line?
I mean, it's hard to split, really. I mean, when we played them at White Hart Lane, we beat them convincingly, and you know, Chelsea managed to smash us at Wembley and did beat us at Stamford Bridge as well. There isn't a great deal of difference, but there's obviously, whatever it is, 7 points. So you know, the table doesn't lie. I know it's a cliche. Chelsea have been the best side in the league because they've amassed the most amount of points. So bias aside, I mean, Conte has done an incredible job. And you mentioned at the beginning of the season, for me, looking back in hindsight, that was him learning. That was him watching, not being rash, figuring out the Premier League and figuring out different ways that he needs to approach a game, and then learning quickly, failing but learning quickly, and then making the changes that you need. All managers go through barren spells, but it's not a bad thing if that happens right at the beginning of your career, because you shouldn't be expected to come in and roll a steamroller any league. I think also, it's going to come across a little bit of sour grapes, but there was no European football at Chelsea. And it's draining, it's hard work, especially when with Spurs we had to play at Wembley and everything didn't go too well there.
How big a factor is that for all the years to come? That the fact that you're not playing.
It just goes to show when Man United did the treble how amazing season that was for them. You know, I think also the fact if Conte had come in at the start of the season and started off with 3 at the back and it didn't work, everyone's going, "What are you doing?" You know. But I think for him to just gradually come in and just take over the team and start with the 4-4-2 or the 4, however he started it, then it didn't work, and then he goes, right, I'm going to do it my way now, and it obviously worked. And another factor of Chelsea's winning season was the fact virtually every single position they would score a goal from. You know, Chelsea didn't just rely on Costa and Hazard, but like the other Chelsea winning seasons, there was so many goals from all the different positions, from Alonso to Gary Cahill, who scored so many goals this season, important goals, to Moses. You know, so many players scored, and I think that was a big factor as well.
Also, sorry, you can say something.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, you know, apart from anything, Conte galvanised the fan base as well, didn't he? I mean, what he's done over the course of the year is he's a big guy. He's like Klopp, you know, big personality, running up and down the touchline, celebrating goals and stuff. And after Mourinho, you know, I'm sure the fan base was pretty split about, you know, a club legend there has just been fired again. The guy who comes in has to be able to fill his boots, and fill his boots he did. And, you know, for me, Chelsea are a team that are more than the sum of their parts, because you look at Alonso, you look at Moses and the positions that they play, and you probably think at the start of the season that's not going to work. But what he's done is he's got them all singing from the same hymn sheet, hasn't he? You know, they're all bought into it, and they've all become a great unit together, and that's something that you need if you want to win the league.
It took Pochettino nearly 2 years to train into the players the ability to just switch between a 4 and a 3 at the back, just at will. It's almost like inbuilt in them. They know it. They do it like muscle reflex now. You know, Conte came in and had to teach that quite complex way of playing football, because it's almost like, you know, when the ball is in certain positions, depending on who has the ball, the shape of the team changes. And it seems like an obvious thing, but for getting 11 single players to work as a unit is incredibly difficult. And Conte managed to get Chelsea playing that in that 3, transfer Moses from a forward into a wing back. And brought an amazing performance out of Alonso. I know he was good over at Fiorentina, I think it was before. But before it was a kind of sort of nondescript signing. It wasn't very exciting, the same way Wanyama wasn't. And he's turned, you know, with Rose and Walker, probably, you know, the best 2 wing backs in the game. And you're talking about Moses and some geezer no one really heard of before.
Well, yeah, that's it. I think that highlights his philosophy as a player and as a manager. As a player, he goes on about how he wasn't the greatest player, but he worked so hard and had an incredible career. And then when you come to it as a manager, there's that phrase with him, that eat grass, so they've got to work so hard. We did an interview with Chalobah, and he was saying how, you know, the training sessions were so tough. But like you said, with Moses, so Moses was like a new transfer, but he had the humility, I guess, to go to see this guy has been sort of loaned out everywhere, and gone, no, hang on, he has got a use and a purpose, and brought him into the team. And people like Alonso and Kante as a signing, I think you are the sum of your parts as a title-winning team. You need a couple of guys who are a bit too good. And Kante and Hazard are those two.
If you could go through each position on the pitch and go, right, who are your top 5 players throughout the whole Premier League of the season, you'd pretty much put a Chelsea player in those top 5, wouldn't you? Yeah. For a midfielder, a forward, an attacking forward, a goalkeeper, a central defender, a fullback, left fullback, and you'd pretty much put a Chelsea player at around the top 5. And that is the sum of the whole part. Yeah. And, you know, I followed Chelsea for a long time, and I follow them on social media. and the camaraderie and the team togetherness that they had this year was the same as they did a couple of years ago. Last year wasn't there. You know, they weren't posting stuff on Instagram and Twitter about their camaraderie that they had. But this year you could see it building and generating. You know, especially from the time from that Tottenham game onwards, that I think was a pivotal moment.
Which is incredible because John Terry, the captain, dropped, but he was able to get John Terry to get on with it and deal with it. And I think, you know, John Terry deserves merit for that as well. But Willian, I think Willian, didn't he win Player of the Year last year?
Yeah, he
the
did.
Best player.
Yeah.
And he's not. He swapped him with Pedro because that's what works.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can respect that as well, I think, is quite a difficult task in Premier League squads now.
Not when you're top of the league. Like, what can they say?
Yeah, true.
But it's tough. It is tough. But it shows you how important it is to have the correct manager and the correct tactics that suit your style of play. If Willian isn't as effective as Pedro is, then he shouldn't start. And I think I've got the answer to what the difference between Tottenham and we've got quality in our first 11. Chelsea have quality throughout their squad.
In their second 11, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that you saw that the moments that beat Spurs when Chelsea played them were moments of weren't about tactics, just single moments of magic. And
Fabregas on the bench got 13 assists, more than anyone else in the team, but they have also spread it out.
Fabregas, you know, for years and years and years, he's been the talisman of the team he's been to, and he's been the provider. But this year, he swallowed his pride. You know, he couldn't get in the side. He wasn't starting a lot, and I think he just took one step back and just went, okay, I'm getting a bit older now. You know, but when he came on, he produced moments of magic. You know, with his assists, he's been incredible this season. He's been as quiet.
And that final reason, I think we haven't said his name properly yet, is Hazard, and that player that was so poor last season, whatever anyone wants to say it, but so brilliant the year before that. Conte's got the best out of him as well, tactically, and I guess he's just happy, isn't he?
Yeah, he looks happy, and you know he's one of those guys when you perceive him as happy, he plays well, doesn't he? Much like Ronaldinho used to play with a smile on his face. I don't think Hazard quite does that. But you can see he's enjoying his football this season with Hazard, and look, on his day he's absolutely unplayable. But I think the biggest thing for me is this what Flav said there about the money that they've got sat on the bench. I mean, Batshuayi's played about 200 minutes this season, £30 million striker. I don't think any of the other teams can really do that, and I think that shows you just how big a club Chelsea are now, and how much talent they've managed to amass over the years. And you know, rightly or wrongly, whether they've got this manager merry-go-round, they've managed to keep winning stuff and keep changing the manager, which is incredible. They're sort of bucking the trend in that regard, aren't they? I don't know whether it's a well-run club, but the title says that they are.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you think. What is the biggest reason why Chelsea have won the league this season? Let us know in the comments below. We're going to be talking about how far away Man United are from the title, and talking about what's next for Spurs with Flav in a second. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like. Most importantly, subscribe to Ball Street, because you know you're here watching this, you might as well do it. Do it now.